Champ Week, presented by Principal, rolls on, and we welcome you to Kansas City, home of the Super Bowl champion Chiefs, and soon enough, a new champion will be crowned here from the best conference in college basketball.
Look at the Big 12, the best league in the country this year.
No one else is even close.
This year's Big 12 is as strong as any conference we've ever seen.
Oh, great pass. George.
He hit it. A right-hand hammer. Yes, he got it. Dylan Mitchell, an exclamation point slam dunk. Wow, what a dagger.
The stakes are raised. The temperature's raised.
Kansas City is going to be nuts during that conference championship.
This will be a slugfest.
Oh, they got fever here, baby. It's electric here.
This is the Big 12 Championship, presented by Phillips 66. And tonight from the T-Mobile Center in Kansas City, we tip it off with first round action. And first up, it's the 8 seed West Virginia Mountaineers and the 9 seed Texas Tech Red Raiders. You're watching the Big 12 on ESPN, and a look at your Big 12 conference tournament bracket. So much depth and talent in this league, 1 through 10. It's anybody's guess what's going to happen over the course of the next few days. Also, no shortage of storylines in this league this year. We start at the top. Kansas wins the league, Bill Self's 17th regular season title, so they will be the top seed here in Kansas City. Jerome Tang, your Big 12 Coach of the Year, and maybe one of the biggest surprises in all of college basketball with the Wildcats. 3 different Wooden Award finalists coming out of the Big 12, including Wildcat Keontae Johnson, along with Mike Miles Jr. and Jalen Wilson. Joe Lunardi says 70% of this league is in the NCAA tournament right now, and Corey Williams will be the head coach for the Red Raiders after Mark Adams was suspended prior to the team arriving in Kansas City. With more on that, we welcome in Chris Buck.
Hi, Rich. The university suspended Mark Adams this week because of inexcusable and racially insensitive comments he made toward his team. The university is looking into the matter further, but he is suspended during the duration of this tournament. Athletic Director Herbie Holcutt told me there's no timetable other than Mark Adams will not be in Kansas City. Davian Harmon told me that he sent a text message to his teammates after the suspension saying, "We can't look into the past. We have so much to play for in Kansas City. The only thing we can do is turn the page and look forward." He is the vocal leader on this Texas Tech team, trying to get his guys to focus on what's ahead in this building.
All right, thanks for that update, Chris. Alongside Fran Fraschilla, I am Rich Hollenberg here in Kansas City, courtside, best seats in the house for the best tournament in college basketball. And we just heard the headline for Texas Tech. The headline for West Virginia, they're playing well. Winners of 3 of their last 4, and they're led by Eric Stevenson on a historic run.
Well, he's only been here 1 year, but he's made his presence felt. The Mountaineers got off to a great start in the non-conference, slow start in the Big 12, picking it back up because of this guy. As hot a player as there is in this conference right now, those numbers are impressive.
Stevenson and the West Virginia Mountaineers are going to be wearing the home white as the 8 seed. It'll be the road black uniforms for Fardaws Aimaq and Kevin O'Banner and the rest of the Texas Tech Red Raiders. West Virginia coming in projected as a 10 seed. They ended the regular season with their 6th quad 1 win against Kansas State. Texas Tech lost their last 3 after winning 4 straight. Joe Lunardi says they are still under consideration with 5 quad 1 wins. Your officials, John Higgins, Jerry Pollard, Marcus Pettigrew. And we are just about set to tip it off here in Kansas City. These 2 teams split the regular season series. Oddly enough, Fran, both teams winning on the other's home court.
Yes, and a big thing for Texas Tech, injuries all year. They're just about at full strength, and everybody in the league knows how good they can be.
Mountaineers control the opening tip, 0 and white. Keedy Johnson.
And as good as Stevenson's playing, they like to go inside early.
And a heads-up play by 1 and white. Emmett Matthews throwing it off a Red Raider out of bounds, but 13 seconds on the shot clock now for the Mountaineers. Here's Johnson. He has 5 20-plus point games this year.
He's got to go.
4 on the shot clock. Matthews, left-handed 3. looked like it might have been altered. And here come the Red Raiders.
Davion Harmon, the transfer from Oregon, playing his best basketball as a Red Raider.
And Jalen Tyson, 20 in black, has been a revelation in Big 12 play for Texas Tech. Here's Pop Isaac, all freshman Big 12. Fardaws Aimaq, they call him the Big Maple, and he opens the score.
Great pick and roll action. And this Pop Isaacs, man, what a freshman year he's had. Young man out of Las Vegas. Great shooter, is going to be an outstanding point guard in this league.
Mountaineers, very favorable numbers analytics-wise offensively. Why is that?
Well, because they've got guys that can make shots, especially Stevenson. Keedy Johnson, their point guard, has improved dramatically.
Here's Isaacs. Missed a bunch of time in Big 12 play with an ankle injury, but had 15 as a return from that injury against West Virginia. Here's Aimaq, the transfer. He could shoot it. That one's too strong. Offensive rebound, Kevin O'Banner.
Gets back to 20. O'Banner, excellent offensive rebounder, finishing off a great career, first at Oral Roberts and now at Texas Tech.
Here's Harmon. Nice take by Davion Harmon, showing that quickness.
Well, we watched him early in his career. He was a one-arm bandit, always to the left, and you saw right there how much he's improved going to the right.
That one's picked off by Tyson.
Got to keep his head up.
He does. And a missed opportunity, but a foul call. Well, of course, as we've become used to talking about, for West Virginia, they are led by a West Virginia alma mater, Bob Huggins, who, as of a couple of hours ago, Fran, has become the all-time winningest active head coach in D1 basketball.
Exactly. You're a Syracuse grad. Congratulations to Jim Boeheim for an amazing career, 47 years, and this guy is now #1 all time.
Harmon makes good on the first of 2 free throws. Now you just 13.6 a game.
You were telling me this before the tip. We looked at the starting lineup for Texas Tech and we said, wow, if they were healthy all season, how good these guys could have been. Of course, Aimaq missed at least the first half of the season, didn't start playing until mid-January. If I recall, Rich, he was the preseason newcomer of the year, the Big 12.
That shot off the mark. Jimmy Bell, 3rd in Big 12 play in offensive rebounds, but that one goes out of bounds. And as you heard Chris Budden talk about at the top of this telecast, Corey Williams will be coaching this team as long as they are in the Big 12 tournament, and he is no stranger to running the show for a college team.
No, he's been a head coach at Stetson. He also has great history in this league. Was one of the great Big 8 guards in the 80s, early 90s, and of course, he's also known as being a guy that played on the He played for guys like, take a look, Leonard Hamilton, Eddie Sutton, and he was on the championship team, Chicago Bulls 92-93, playing with the great Michael Jordan. And I asked him about playing with Jordan. I said, how did he treat you? I know he's hard on rookies. He said, no, I wore Air Jordans. He was good to me.
That one picked off by Matthews. Uses those long arms, but in transition, we've got a foul. That's going to go on Harmon.
Bob Isaacs thought he got all ball there. That play happened so quickly that I'm not sure the officials were able to catch up to the play. And good effort by Emmett Matthews, who is an interesting story in himself, Rich. He played 3 years at West Virginia, left to go back home to the Seattle area to play at the University of Washington, in part because of the COVID issues, wanted to be back close to his family. And he said, in retrospect, one thing I was going to miss was walking that blue carpet on senior night in West Virginia. And he returned for his 5th season, and along with his sister, graduated from West Virginia in December.
Notice that high arcing shot that Emmett Matthews has, but he's a good free throw shooter. 81%, he makes them both. And this entire West Virginia team is good at shooting free throws. They shoot a lot of them, and they make a lot of them.
That's right. They get to the line as much as any team in the country. Top 10.
First 2 of the game for West Virginia, so the seal is broken. And here they come after another stop. Matthews had 20 against Kansas State in that senior day performance in Morgantown, and it's almost come full circle for Emmett Matthews because he played here at the Big 12 tournament against Texas Tech when he was a freshman back in 2019 and had his career high 28 points in that game.
Against a team that ended up going to the national championship game. I remember it well.
That foul's on Fardaz Amack, his first. Seth Wilson on the floor. He is a three-point sniper for Bob Huggins, 14 in white. 6 on the shot clock. Keedy in the painted area. Off to the left. And here comes Isaacs. Good three-point shooter with that set shot.
He can do that. He has had a marvelous year behind the arc. Deep range, plays under control in this backcourt of Isaacs and Harmon has really gelled down the stretch of the season.
How about 42% from three-point range in his last 5, Frank?
You know, he doesn't play like a freshman anymore. And keep in mind, you're a freshman in this league, not easy to adjust.
West Virginia 0 for 4 from the field so far. Seth Wilson makes it 0 for 5. And Trey Mitchell loves to shoot the 3 and knocks it down. First field goal of the game.
Really important. Trey Mitchell, the transfer from Texas, did not have a great end of the season, but he's so versatile, can score inside, shows you that range as well. Important that he plays well.
Tyson threw it away, got hung up in midair, and we have our first timeout of this Big 12 championship with Texas Tech up 4 against West Virginia.
Welcome back to Kansas City. Eric Stevenson and Emmett Matthews, they have known each other since they were children. They were AAU teammates, high school competitors against each other. And they have taken a long and windy road all the way from Seattle, Washington to Morgantown, 2,700 miles, but each had their own path to get to Morgantown. Stevenson went to Washington, Wichita State, South Carolina, eventually ended up his last year of eligibility at West Virginia. For Matthews, as we said, West Virginia, back to UW, back to West Virginia. Stevenson would like it to be known, though, that the last game they ever played against each other, his team came from behind, knocked off Matthews' team. Said, I think he has a little sour taste in his mouth of the way things ended there, guys.
And Chris, it goes even more full circle because Eric Stevenson's family, his grandfather is well known in Cumberland, Maryland. Dad grew up there, and Cumberland is about 70 miles east of Morgantown. He now has a lot of family and friends from Cumberland coming over to those games in Morgantown.
Playing in his 157th game tonight in his career. A lot of 100-plus games played in college basketball this year. Matthews had his shot blocked by Jalen Tyson. Stevenson on the bench right now for Bob Huggins. Here's Tyson, breaking ankles, but coming up short on the jumper. Nothing's going to come easy for either of these offenses tonight, Fran.
Oh, no question. Well, in this league, it's hard to score anyway. It's one of the, among the things that this league is a great defensive league.
5 on the shot clock. Matthews lost it, got it back, off the window.
Pretty smooth. You know, when I asked him about that 28-point game as a freshman against Texas Tech, he said, I'm not sure I'm as athletic as I was 5 years ago.
Old man Matthews.
Yeah.
Averaging 15 points a game his last 3 for the Mountaineers. Here's Harmon, left-handed jumper, baseline is good. Good start for Davion Harmon with 6.
Davion's improved that three-point shooting, but he is really comfortable in the mid-range, and you saw right there, he got into that sweet spot of his.
Texas Tech, an early 4-point lead, nearly 6 minutes gone by. And another one-and-done offensive possession for West Virginia. Stolen away by Mitchell.
Yeah, that pass had too much air under it.
Mitchell goes to his left and loses it out of bounds. It's going to stay West Virginia basketball. And now we'll see some subs coming on. Robert Jennings, number 4 in black, checking in, a freshman from DeSoto, Texas. And that's one of the storylines for Texas Tech, one of the younger teams in the Big 12.
Absolutely. Lamar Washington, Jennings, Pop Isaacs, all have gotten a lot of playing time. Elijah Fisher, who is a kid who's in the game. I think Elijah is in the game right now. He reclassified to be a freshman here this year.
Wilson swallowed up by Texas Tech. Now Matthews trying to do it all himself, turned it over. Here's Isaacs up ahead of the field. Turns on the Jets and gets another 2.
Oh, that pass just sneaked through the defense, and Pop Isaacs was able to catch it and had a clear lane to the hoop.
Keedy Johnson stops and pops. First 2 of the game for Johnson.
Keedy's one of those fifth-year guys. He's a junior college kid, much like Taz Mitchell, who in 3 years under Bob Huggins really improved and took advantage of that COVID year.
Yeah, he was a defensive specialist coming in. Now he's shown some of the offensive game in his final year. O'Banner hesitated, lost it, out of bounds. And it's going to stay Texas Tech basketball.
Watch this pass by Kevin O'Banner now, right through the defense. And Pop Isaacs, terrific young athlete. He'll eventually, I think, be their point guard of the future. He can really shoot it. Of course, nowadays, all these kids are year to year, but I know he's enjoyed his time so far in Lubbock.
I asked him why he changed his hairstyle. It used to be free-flowing, and he said, off the mark on that 3, he said, well, I wanted to tighten it up so everyone could see my face in Kansas City.
Nice pass.
And there's O'Banner with his first 2, and an emphatic one at that.
What I love about Texas Tech early is they're playing with joy. You know, it's been a tough week, the suspension of their coach, but a lot of character on that group of kids, and I have a feeling they're going to play really well today, and who knows what could happen if they can get this first one.
They have so far in the first 7.5 minutes. A 15-9 lead over the 8th seed West Virginia Mountaineers, and Johnson to the line.
Now it looks like Pop Isaacs almost gets caught in the air, but a good cut on the weak side baseline by Kevin O'Banner. And Rich, we said this a bunch of times, if you're an X and O junkie, this league has so much help defense that the one way to attack it is those weak side cuts. Kansas does it well. You really have to do that in this league because there's so much defense on the first side of the floor.
Keedy Johnson at the line. Best free throw shooter on the West Virginia team, 83%, and he nails the first one. Had 20 against Texas Tech when they played in Morgantown last time.
Well, we've always talked about the Dallas-Fort Worth area having a lot of talent that ends up in the Big 12, but it's not often a kid from Dallas ends up in Morgantown. And it's worked out quite well for Keedy Johnson. Transfer from Temple Junior College, and like we mentioned, 3 solid years.
Now Stevenson back on the floor for Bob Huggins, 10 and white. Here's a freshman Fisher. Deep 3 by Davion Harmon, short. And Stevenson has the rebound. You know he's itching to get a shot up, friend.
He will not have a problem with that over 40 minutes.
Bacho whistled for the foul. Daniel Bacho, 12 and black on the floor. Missed 6 games with a lower body injury. Came back in the regular season finale. Scored 6 points against Oklahoma State.
He was so good early, Rich. You remember in Maui, 21 against Ohio State. Excellent rebounder.
Here's Mitchell. Skip pass. Matthews baseline. And good hands by number 1 in black, Lamar Washington, another freshman for this Texas Tech team. Timeout on the floor. Stay with us. Big 12 champ.
His head coaching start at VCU before coming to Oklahoma, where he coached Blake Griffin, went back to Duke and coached for Mike Krzyzewski, took the Pitt job, and what a job Jeff has done this year. ACC Coach of the Year. Wonderful job. They've got a good team. I saw Miami, Rich, a couple weeks ago, and Coach Larrañaga has a great team, a team that can get back to the Elite 8. Here's your shot.
Stevenson, wide open, knocks it down.
Yep, didn't take long. It did take 8 minutes, but he is an acquired taste. Let's put it that way. He is a great kid, full of enthusiasm.
Strong take, better follow by Bacho.
Remember, this team has not been completely healthy. Bacho's been out, Amac's been out, Isaacs has been out.
Heat check.
There he goes. Hold on, folks. And watch the joy he plays with, man. He is enthusiastic. And on occasion, that enthusiasm gets him into trouble.
Stolen by Johnson. Up ahead. Okonkwo on the floor, lost the handle.
Let's go back and watch Eric Stevenson. Watch how smooth that stroke looks. He's going to come off an inbounds play. Great follow through right there. You know what he looked like? He looked like Mr. Clutch right there. He looked like the logo. Jerry West, another great Mountaineer, obviously. And Eric's only been there 1 year, but he certainly made his mark.
Yeah, and he now joins a very short list along with Jerry West. Only 5 West Virginia players ever have scored 20 or more points or 23 or more points in 5 straight games. Eric Stevenson now is on that list.
And you know what doesn't belong and why? Those top 4 were all Americans.
Amazing.
So kudos to Eric. But the guys he did this with all were outstanding West Virginia Mountaineers. Will Robinson, 1972, and of course, everybody knows Jerry West, Hot Rod Hundley, and Rod Thorne.
Yeah. West and Hundley have their statues outside WVU Coliseum. Keating tried to get it to Stevenson, knocked out of bounds. Good hands by the Tech defense.
Remember, early in the year, he got a really critical technical foul at Oklahoma State because he was in a shouting, not a shouting match, but Marcus Smart from the great Boston Celtic was in the crowd, and they just had a back and forth, and it really did cost the Mountaineers a game. He got a technical foul and was ejected with 5 fouls.
Mitchell stepped through, nice pass, and Matthews pays it off.
Nicely done. Good interior passing right there, Mitchell's and Matthews.
First lead of the game for the Mountaineers. Here's Lamar Washington,
not his
youngster.
Strength. Yep, not his strength.
And Johnson, like he shot out of a cannon, missed the easy layup. Bacho, good hands. Inside, O'Banner. And he's got an and one opportunity.
Good patience by Kevin O'Banner. The pump fake. And just went right through the defense. The young man from Houston, Texas, who had 3 phenomenal years at ORU, helping them to the Sweet 16. And last year, he played in the Sweet 16 for these Red Raiders. And his 5th year has been outstanding. A 2,000-point, 1,000 rebound guy in his career. And watch this arc on that shot. Isn't it amazing how high a guy can shoot his shots? And they go in.
81% from the free throw line. You mentioned 2,000, 1,000. He passed that earlier this year. One of only 3 Division I players with those kind of numbers in his career. Jaden Gardner from UVA and KJ Williams, the Murray State transfer, now playing at LSU. So Texas Tech goes back on top with that 3-point play. 2019, halfway through the first game of the first round of the Big 12 championship here in Kansas City.
Winner gets Kansas tomorrow.
Stevenson, is it going up, Fran?
Nope.
Here's Mitchell for 3. And Amack back on the floor has got the rebound.
Good look, good ball movement.
Amack had a double-double last time these teams met, 14 and 12 in Morgantown. This is a swagger matchup. Isaacs and Stevenson. And West Virginia wins that battle. Well, Corey Williams on the sidelines. Asked him, who's the first person you called when you found out you were going to be the head coach in this tournament? And he said,
can I guess?
Yeah.
Leonard Hamilton.
You got it.
Yeah.
You got it.
That's the guy that recruited him to Oklahoma State back in 1988. A young man from Macon, Georgia, Corey Williams was. And he was a great Big 8 player. Obviously, he played in the NBA.
There's Jimmy Bell Jr. Forced it up, got the foul.
Jimmy Bell Jr. got off to a really good start this year. Hadn't played as well lately. He's a young man, started his career at St. Louis, played last year at Mobley Community College in Mobley, Missouri.
Bell just a 61% free throw shooter, but he knocks down the first. Big 12 now on ESPN Plus, a must-have for Big 12 fans with baseball and softball seasons in full swing. More than 200 games available, along with the early rounds of both conference tournaments. Plus, it's the home for over 600 live events and original content. If you're a Big 12 fan, you gotta have it. Sign up at ESPNplus.com/Big 12 now. Those 2 free throws give the Mountaineers a 1-point lead. And that was short-lived. Davion Harmon, another slash to the bucket.
Boy, and he's really gotten good with that right hand, Davion Harmon. Young man from Denton Guyer, his high school teammate. The Big 12 Player of the Year this year, Jalen Wilson, coached by Grant Long. They got a great program down there at Guyer.
And Jacoby Coles was part of that team too.
Yes,
for
he
TCU.
was. Yep.
Harmon's got 8 to lead the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Toughness by Trey Mitchell.
Yep, exactly. KO Kevin O'Banner did not give any ground, and Trey took his time. He's a young man that grew up in Pittsburgh, not far down the road. Nice catch. Good look by Harmon. Of course, we can't predict the future with Texas Tech, but boy, do they have some good young players.
Stevenson off the mark that time. Offensive rebound by Bell. That's his specialty. Mitchell off the mark. Another offensive board. This time Matthews rejected by Tyson. Here come the Raiders. And the float game, maybe an ill-advised shot by Harmon. Up ahead, Matthews will go to the line and shoot 2.
Well, Davion Harmon, he started his career at Oklahoma before transferring to Oregon. Now he's back in the Big 12. So he knows a little bit about competition in March, and he's getting it going for the Red Raiders. Not just scoring, but diamond as well. In time, Rich, because you see the numbers. Joey Brackett's got 7 in. Oklahoma State, a big one in the second game tonight. But in 2003, the Big 12 had 2 number-1 seeds and a number-2 seed. Of course, you're a Syracuse fan, so you'll remember that was the year that Texas and Oklahoma were 1 seeds, KU the 2 seed. And I hate to say this if you're a Big 12 fan, but Syracuse ran through the Big 12 that year in the NCAA tournament, knocking off Oklahoma State. Later on, OU and Kansas in the Final Four. Here's it.
Fran, when I was talking with Bob Huggins yesterday about the difficulty of playing in this league, I said many analysts like you, Fran, have said this has been the toughest this league or any league has been in almost 2 decades. And he said, well, you would be right. And it's not just because of the talent of the athletes. He said, we have to give credit to the Hall of Fame coaches that have been in this league and continue, and some that will be future Hall of Famers. That it's a battle every place you go, on your home court or on the road, to be able to play against these players and these coaches you're scouting against.
That's a great point, Chris. And I'll tell you, from a coaching standpoint, the adjustments these coaches make game to game is really impressive. It's almost like the NBA playoffs.
Look at the aggressive nature of the West Virginia defense, forcing another turnover.
A little bit of West Virginia we saw right there from the old days.
Stevenson.
Good look.
The one more. Mitchell can't pay it off.
Good basketball. Great pass by Eric Stevenson, who you know is shot hunting, but he really made the right play right there.
Texas Tech's offense have been living in the paint. 16 points in the paint already. They had 42 points in the paint the last time these teams met.
Looks like they came out of that timeout and they're heating up the ball a little harder.
5 on the shot clock.
Uh-oh.
Stevenson in the open court. The lob. Matthews might not have been ready for it. The former Washington State players. And Stevenson settles.
Beautiful footwork right there. And you could see Eric really trying to get his teammates involved. He tried to lob it, but that pull-up jump shot right there, that was really, really good footwork.
So now Stevenson leads the Mountaineers with 8. Davion Harmon with 8 for Texas Tech. He's got the ball. 23 in black. Tries it from 3. That one's short.
And that's
Bell clears.
Little out of Davion's range right there. Well, Tech got off to that hot start, Rich, but the Mountaineers have really settled in.
There have been 4 ties and 6 lead changes already in this game.
Oh, man.
And that is the hottest shooter in this building.
I want to tell you, the last 2 shots he hit were really difficult, but under control and terrific footwork. That's what we call separating from the defense.
9 20-point games this season for Eric Stevenson. He had 9 the entire rest of his career. Here's Tyson. Can't answer with the 3.
Well, get it to Eric. Seriously.
He could shoot it from there. That one, a foul's going to be called, and Eric Stevenson will have 3 free throws.
He is definitely heating up, but it's not just luck. Watch this great footwork. Step back, square up, over a good defender. And this one's even harder. Take a look right here. Tyson, a good defender, but you see that step back move creates about just enough space for him to calmly get off a fundamentally sound jump shot right there.
You know, it's interesting. You talked to Bob Huggins before the season started. He said Eric Stevenson could be the heart and soul of this team when it's all said and done, and lately he has been.
Oh, there's no question. Great player from the state of Washington. We had him at Under Armour camp when he was a sophomore and committed early to Greg Marshall at Wichita State. By the way, he played with Grant Sherfield, the Oklahoma outstanding guard, at Wichita State. And then, of course, the odyssey around the country, right? He went back home. He went to South Carolina and played for Frank Martin, who toughened him up even more. But take a look at the numbers right there. And the coolest thing about it is his family, his grandfather, is really an icon in Cumberland, Maryland. I don't know if you've ever been on Interstate 68, Rich, but that's how you get to Washington, D.C. And Dad is from that state, and he moved out to the state of Washington. Chris, you have more on this.
Yeah, there was a time when he was at Wichita State. He was going through a shooting slump, so he texted his grandfather, who meant everything to him, about what do I need to do. Grandfather texted back with just some words of encouragement. That ended up being the final text that he ever sent in the last communication with Eric, because he passed away later on that evening. It's something that Eric has taken with him. He said that grandfather meant everything. He said he still plays to this day in his honor. His mom will constantly remind him he's looking down at you. He would be so proud of you. There's the text message. Says, thanks, bud. Thinking about you always. Keep throwing up the threes. They will start to fall.
Yeah, and his grandfather, Chris, ironically, was a great baseball man. And when his dad moved out to the state of Washington with his sister, his grandfather wanted Eric's dad to get away from home and grow up a little bit. Well, he did grow up. He grew to be 6'10", 260. And so Eric really fell into basketball at a young age. And it's so cool that his family can now drive over 70 miles and see him play.
And he came to West Virginia because he wanted to be coached hard in his final season, and he knew he was going to get that.
Well, Frank Martin didn't coach him hard, huh? Oh, my goodness. Greg Marshall. The only softy there is your former fraternity guy, Mike Hopkins in Washington.
Don't throw Hop under the bus. He can get after it, too.
Oh, he can.
There's another 2 by Emmett Matthews. He's got 9.
Yeah, I really like the way this team is playing right now. Rich, they were ranked in late December, and they just hit that slump, lost their first 5 games in conference play. Remember, you and I did a game on December 31st, Baylor and Iowa State, and I said to you, you know, coaches look at a schedule, and they say, oh, my, late January, early February, that's a gauntlet. And that day we said, the gauntlet in this league starts December 31st, and it ends March 4th. And that's exactly how this league has been.
Wait, so it's March 8th.
Well, it was more. But now you know. But now 7 teams know they're in
Absolutely.
the NCAA tournament and possibly an 8th. And who knows? Texas Tech, Oklahoma.
Yeah. Listen, Joe Lenardi, our resident bracketologist, says Texas Tech is, quote, under consideration. They get a couple of wins in this tournament, and you never know what could happen. Tyson goes 1 for 2. It's a 6-point West Virginia lead, which in a game like this feels like 16. We have our final media timeout of the first half between West Virginia and Texas Tech. An entertaining one, to say the least. ESPN's Corey Williams, the man in charge of that huddle for the Texas Tech Red Raiders. The Red Raiders are down by 6 to West Virginia, but a long and storied basketball career.
Yeah, absolutely. He started his career under Leonard Hamilton. Then he played for Eddie Sutton. Of course, he was on that Chicago Bulls team. He played about 35 games as a rookie, got into coaching, and has been out here the last year. It's interesting. The guy that got him into coaching, he had a restaurant in Macon, Georgia, his hometown. Scott Sutton, his former teammate, Eddie's son, was coaching at Oral Roberts, called him up and said, I think you'd make a great coach. Would you like to join my staff? He was with Scott for 7 years, went back to Florida State with Leonard. And he's really, really one of the great guys. I'm going to tell you a really crazy story, Rich. When Oklahoma State played at Kansas his senior year, Chiefs coach Marty Schottenheimer was at the game, and he watched him. And in the spring, the Kansas City Chiefs, he's never played football in college, drafted him in the 12th round because Marty Schottenheimer thought he could be a football player, defensive back.
He was Tony Gonzalez before Tony Gonzalez was Tony Gonzalez.
Well, a guy named Gil Brandt started that, the Cowboys GM, who he was the guy that started drafting basketball players. And Cornell Green, one of the great defensive backs in NFL history, he was the guy that really got that started for the Cowboys.
Pop Isaacs short on the three. Here comes Stevenson.
Nice pass.
Johnson. Probably should have gone straight up with
Absolutely.
the left hand.
Yep. I think Keedy got in trouble when he double pumped it, but great vision. We're at midcourt and we could see that passing lane open, and so did Stevenson. I'll tell you, to do what he's done the last 5 games in this league, knowing that he's the mark man, is impressive.
That shot too strong. Fresh 20 seconds for Bob Huggins Mountaineers. There's Joe Toussaint, the Iowa transfer.
Good look.
Mitchell, short.
Yep, these are good looks. Dre's got to bang some of those.
Picked off, second steal by Keedy Johnson, and he's got an and one opportunity. That's the 8th West Virginia steal this first half.
Well, and that's something Keedy Johnson does well. You mentioned how much he's improved his offense, but talk about defensive back instincts. He has a nose for the ball, and then take a look right here. He's already got the steal. The defender is inside the arc, so that's an automatic one. But the young man from Dallas, Texas, we keep mentioning his growth as a player under Bob Huggins, and that's been evident. Rich, when he was a junior, which is 3 seasons ago, he really could not make a shot.
Yeah. Balanced scoring for the Mountaineers. 7 for Johnson, 9 for Matthews, 13 for Stevenson.
Right now, Tech's looking for answers.
Yeah, 8 minutes without a field goal. Nearly 8. And there we go, Kevin O'Banner.
That one drew rain. That was higher than that Chinese balloon right there. Kevin O'Banner from range trying to keep the Red Raiders in it.
College basketball tournaments going on coast to coast. Coming up at the All-State Halftime Report, Dallin Cup, Tom Crean, and Steve Wojciechowski will catch you up with all the details of what else is going on around the country. And of course, we'll be talking about Jim Boeheim, finished at Syracuse after 47 seasons. And in that same ACC tournament, Pitt moves on. They will face Duke in the quarterfinals. That's coming up at the All-State Halftime Report.
Of course, Dallin Cuff, the brains of that operation, the former Columbia guard. But you know that Steve Wojo brings that defensive toughness in the studio.
Tom Crean not appreciating those comments.
He'd like to coach that backcourt.
I'm surprised your phone's not blowing up right now from Tom.
That'd be a good backcourt to coach.
Coming up on 2 minutes to go. Largest lead of the game for the Mountaineers. It's 10. O'Banner thread the needle. Here's Fisher. Forced it up. No. And a grown man rebound for Jimmy Bell Jr. Stevenson.
Good look.
Good ball movement by West Virginia. And it pays off. A triple by Keedy Johnson.
I want to tell you, that whole play started with Eric Stevenson, because when he got the outlet, he did not hold on to it. He kicked it ahead, and that started the chain reaction of ball movement.
Isaacs left alone, and he cashes in.
Pop's going to make that more than not. You leave him open, he can really can it.
38% from beyond the arc for Pop Isaacs. part of the Big 12 all-freshman team this year.
And a USA basketball graduate as well. Played on some great junior teams.
Stevenson behind a brick wall named Jimmy Bell, but he misses. Loose ball and a foul called.
Rich, let's watch this ball movement. It starts with Stevenson on the outlet. He's going to get this ball, and they're already down into their half-court flow, but good ball movement back and forth. The chain reaction started in the backcourt, and they kept it going. They got a great look.
Eric Stevenson showing, while he is a volume scorer, he has much more to his game than that.
You've heard this phrase, the ball has energy. That's a great example right there. The ball has energy when everybody's touching it.
It was singing that last touchdown.
That's a good way to put it.
Under a minute to go, first half. West Virginia the lead, Texas Tech trying to cut into that lead. Davion Harmon, and he's in double digits with 10.
Yeah, good ball movement that time by Tech. O'Banner had a chance to shoot it. Made the extra pass. Bob Huggins doesn't usually go 2 for 1 here, and he's not going to be able to do it now. So he'll get the first good shot he can and try to milk that clock.
Yeah, 10-second differential between the shot clock and the game clock. Seven to shoot. Mitchell does. Comes up short. Amack can't grab the rebound.
I would kick it out and hold on to it.
Now the shot clock is off. 10 seconds to go. Toussaint almost lost it. Keedy Johnson with it.
Should have shot it.
Ball goes out of bounds. Texas Tech with 0.9 on the clock.
That time the ball had too much energy because I thought Keedy Johnson should have let it go right there.
So they add a few ticks on the clock, 1.2 remaining, and Pop Isaacs will trigger the inbound.
Got to throw it down the court, I think.
Harmon from half court. And it's off the mark. West Virginia will go to the locker room with an 8-point lead led by Eric Stevenson, 4 for 6 from the field. The rest of the team, not so much, but balanced scoring led by Stevenson. And West Virginia with the lead. Chris Budden with Bob Huggins.
Coach, offense, 43 points in that first half. What have you seen out of your group in the first 20 minutes? What have you seen out of your group in the first 20 minutes?
Well, we came out awfully sluggish, and then I thought we played pretty well. We played well in spurts. We've just got to be a little more consistent.
We appreciate it. Thank you.
Bob Huggins' team 18-4 when they lead at the half, and the lead they have in the first round of the Big 12 tournament. When we come back, Dalen Cupp, Tom Crean, and Steve Wojciechowski, the All-State Halftime Report. Big 12 Men's Championship. We're at halftime of the first game of this tournament, where the 8-seed West Virginia Mountaineers have an 8-point lead over the 9-seed Texas Tech Red Raiders. Inside the T-Mobile Center, alongside Fran Fraschilla, I'm Rich Hollenberg. Entertaining first half, back and forth. A lot of competitive basketball we've seen, but we started this game talking about one player from West Virginia, Eric Stevenson, and he has not disappointed.
No, he's a really good player. I was talking to one Big 12 assistant right before we came back on. He said if he played this way early in the Big 12 race, he'd have been a first-team all-league player. That's how talented Eric Stevenson is, and he's proving it down the stretch. Didn't take a shot for the first 8 minutes. That's okay. He gets them up quick. He gets them up accurately, and this is a tough shot right here. And you know what? This is even tougher coming up. Watch the step back. Good look. He's got 13. Keedy Johnson's got 10. And that is a backcourt that's played really well down the stretch for Bob Huggins.
Fran, West Virginia started out 0 for 6 and 2 for their first 12. But since then, 11 for 23 from the field. They have 13 field goals and 13 free throws made. That is a recipe for success.
Yeah, very efficient first half for the Mountaineers.
Fardaws Amack out to Harmon. Harmon in double digits with 10.
Amack back in with those 2 fouls. He sat for a while.
There's Pop Isaacs with 5 on the shot clock. He tries a step back of his own, off the mark. Tipped, recovered by Isaacs. And Bell grabs it for West Virginia.
Yeah, two good looks right there for Pop Isaacs. Could knock him down.
Stevenson with the ball. He's been the story so far. Zips a pass to Matthews off the window.
Yeah, remember those guys go back to 4th grade. And finally, their final year college basketball, they've hooked up about 2,000 miles away from the Seattle area.
They consider themselves brothers. They act like brothers. They fight like brothers.
Well, he passes like a brother.
Sharing the sugar. Eric Stevenson. Amack, step back. Here's Stevenson again, 10 and white. Calls his own number, and an air ball that time. O'Banner showed 3, lost it.
Yeah, good help by Stevenson. Just a little foot fake and threw Kevin off a little.
Harmon working on Stevenson. Tough two. Davion Harmon with a dozen.
Good defense. Stevenson a little frustrated, but Davion took his time, and surprised he didn't get dizzy. He spun a couple times.
Winner of this game moves on to the quarterfinals to face the #1 seeded Kansas Jayhawks. Texas Tech lost both games to the Jayhawks by just 3 and 4 points respectively. West Virginia got swept, and the last time in Lawrence they only lost by 2 to Kansas.
Exactly. Got blown out the first time, but bounced back nicely a couple weeks ago.
5 on the clock. Keedy Johnson, smooth.
We talked about that backcourt. They've got 26 between them, and they really have learned to play well together. Keedy, the defensive specialist, Stevenson, the scorer, but Keedy really improving on both ends.
Keedy with a dozen, Stevenson still with 13, and Emmett Matthews chipping in with 11. 10 on the shot clock. Isaacs challenged and fouled by Stevenson.
Well, watch Stevenson. He's at the top of the key. They're in a little motion offense. A lot of cutting. And watch the cut to the basket by Emmett Matthews right there. Finishes off the glass. Really good look right there.
You better believe they're watching from the great Northwest. 2 Washington State natives. Isaacs with the first. He has 9.
What's interesting about Pop Isaacs, when he got to campus in June, he thought he played last season with a groin injury. It turns out that it was more serious than that. He ended up having hip surgery, Rich, and he didn't join the team in practice until the middle of the fall. He was in the starting lineup from day 1, and obviously it speaks for itself. First team, you know, all freshman team. Just a terrific young man. He's going to be a terrific player.
And he's played big in some big games. 18 against Kansas, 23 in Austin against Texas. He's on the bench now, though. Step through. And it's going to stay West Virginia basketball.
Well, it's a quiet crowd, but a really, really good crowd for opening night. Nearly probably 80% full. This is just the appetizer for what's going to be an amazing 4 days.
A cornucopia of colors in the stands, too. You see some old gold for West Virginia. There's Matthews with a sweet rainbow jumper.
Watch out. Here we go.
In and out for Stevenson. Trey Mitchell, top of the key for 3.
Love the ball movement. Love the ball movement.
13 for Keedy Johnson, 13 for Emmett Matthews, and 13 for Eric Stevenson. 53-39, West Virginia. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Principal. When you take care of your team, they take care of business. And right now, the Mountaineers are taking care of business in this first round game of the Big 12 tournament, up 14, their largest lead on Texas Tech, alongside Fran Fraschilla, Rich Hollenberg, Chris Budden alongside as well.
Well, what I've enjoyed about the Mountaineers so far for 24 minutes is really unselfish play, good ball movement, passing up a good shot for a better shot to get a great shot.
Davion Harmon leading this Texas Tech team with 12. He's going to need to work some magic now with 4 minutes coming up, gone by in the second half. O'Banner, quick shot three. Tapped into the hands of Tyson. Harmon gets into the lane and it's off to the left. Bacho will go to the line.
Well, Daniel Bacho has been on the injured list for much of the last month of the season, Rich, but we've seen him this year, the sophomore from Paris, France. Really can block shots. He's got a great aggressive instinct at the rim, rebounding wise, and it just goes back to what we said early in the game. Amick missed half the season. This guy's been out. Isaacs has been out. And early in the year, he was really playing well.
Bacho, a transfer from Arizona, makes the first one.
He's a French kid, but his mom was an outstanding player in Belarus. Identify where that is.
I was going to ask you if you spoke French with him when he showed up here in Kansas City.
I speak a little Russian. Yeah. Me and Svi Mikhailuk used to go back and forth a little bit, but no, I know no French.
I don't speak French. I speak French fries. And we had some good ones last night at Q39, that's for sure. Here's a pick by Lamar Washington. And it's blocked by Trey Mitchell. And with that, we have our first media timeout of the second half. West Virginia in control, up by a dozen on Corey Williams' Red Raiders. No shortage of great basketball in the Big 12. No shortage of great food here inside the T-Mobile Center. As a matter of fact, fantastic job by first-year commissioner Brett Yormark making this more of an entertainment event along with basketball. So one of the things the Big 12 has done is every school has a food represented here at the T-Mobile Center. If you're a fan of West Virginia, you know pepperoni rolls are the one and only choice. And this is called the Tex Masked Raider Burger. They like it spicy in Lubbock, Fran. I don't know about you, but the Red Raiders love it.
I'm going to ask you to pick which one you think I'm going to enjoy when we get to the end of this game.
Hands down, I cannot touch this pepperoni roll or else I'm going to get my hand slapped by this guy.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a delicacy in West Virginia. Of course, you know, it's a great story, man. You know the pepperoni roll. You know how it started?
Yeah.
The miners would go down into the caves, and when you put the sauce and the pepperoni in the bread, into the foil, it would stay together. It wouldn't fall apart when they could have their lunch down in the mines.
And they were down in the coal mines.
Yep.
Did you see that fan's shirt? Pepperoni rolls on. I need that shirt.
Exactly.
I need that shirt. We are filthy with pepperoni rolls every time we go to Morgantown.
5 pounds worth.
I mean that in the most complimentary fashion.
Yes.
So both free throws good by Lamar Washington, and that cuts the lead for West Virginia to 10. They have the ball. Joe Toussaint, 5-1, controlling the point now. Ball ping-pongs out of bounds, but it's saved by Toussaint. Keedy Johnson with the left hand, and he has 14 to lead all scorers.
Really good footwork right there by Keedy Johnson. A little Euro step to avoid the charge.
Make that 15 for Keedy. Bacho knocked out of bounds. It'll stay Texas Tech basketball.
Watch Keedy Johnson right now. Watch the little subtle Euro step right here. Steps by. Jimmy Bell offers some a shield, if you will, from the shot blocker. A pretty big shield at that, and young man Keedy Johnson gets to the basket.
Fardar Zamak not on the floor right now for Corey Williams, the big man. Trey Mitchell makes it a one and done for Texas Tech. Here come the Mountaineers.
I'd say right now this is workmanlike by West Virginia. Both really solid basketball on both ends. Limited mistakes, good ball movement, good defense.
Again, Joe Lunardi has him in right now as a 10 seed. Mitchell knocks down the three in front of his own bench.
He's really comfortable in those corners, Trey Mitchell. Started his career at UMass. He was a really good player in the A-10. We saw him at Texas last year. Really didn't fit, but has come back close to home, and he's really enjoyed playing probably about 80 miles from home.
Had 14 in Morgantown on senior day. Now he's got 11 tonight. Harmon. Offensive foul as Joe Toussaint steps in and takes the charge. With the timeout on the floor, let's take a look at the Pac-12 men's basketball tournament presented by New York Life. We talked about Washington State, and the Washington Huskies lost their first round match to Colorado, so it's going to be #1 UCLA and #9 Colorado in part of that tournament.
Well, and Jay, that bad news today for the Bruins is Jalen Clark, their outstanding defensive player of the year in the Pac-12. Achilles injury, he will miss the rest of the season.
That team's still good enough to contend for a Final Four?
And they're good enough to get deep into the tournament for sure, but Jalen Clark, I saw his very first game of the season in LA against Sac State, and I knew then, really, when you watch him, he was going to be he's a finalist for the Naismith Defensive Player of the Year award. We wish him well. He's a terrific young man.
UCLA going undefeated at home this year in Pauley Pavilion.
Tell you, Washington State is dangerous. They have really improved as the season's gone on. They're a 5 seed.
Here's Johnson, 10 on the shot clock. Pulls up.
All right, enough of this nonsense. Let's get the ball to Stevenson.
Haven't called his name yet in the second half. And really, West Virginia hasn't had to.
No, and he hasn't forced anything. That's the beauty of Eric Stevenson, man. He's just playing in the flow of the game. Good cut.
Tyson, extra pass. And Bacho lost the handle. They want to get the ball in the paint, but they're not producing in the paint. Stevenson, hard fall. And a foul called. That's an offensive foul on Eric Stevenson, his second.
He was just about to pull up inside the foul line at the logo, and he probably wishes he had. Take a look right here. I thought he was going to pull up, but Washington was legal. I love this kid. Washington is just a tough, hard-nosed player. Point guard out of Portland, Oregon. Played a lot of minutes as a freshman.
Yeah, he was the Gatorade Player of the Year last year as a high school player.
Watch this arc.
O'Banner knocks down a 3.
That's got to be the highest arc in college basketball from behind the arc with accuracy. And Rich, it's hard to be that kind of shooter because the more the distance the ball goes, usually you lose your accuracy, but not Kevin O'Banner.
He's been struggling from beyond the arc, but not tonight. Couple of 3s for O'Banner. Here he is leading the break. That one rushed, hit the camera high above the timing clock.
Let's go back and watch this, man. Watch how high this shot goes. Boom. You know, there's a perfect arc. Like they say it's 47 degrees. That's got it's a little bit more.
Toussaint guarded by the freshman Isaacs. Now Johnson. Good shot fake by Joe Toussaint.
Good effort. Swing it.
Toussaint, baseline. 3. Got it.
Good effort off the offensive rebound. The ball keeps singing. And the Mountaineers making really good music right now.
The lead 15, and West Virginia could add to it. 61-46. 11.5 to go. The winner will face #1 Kansas in the quarterfinals. Johnson steps back, too strong. Isaacs tried to take it himself, but it's blocked by Keedy Johnson. And Johnson going to be whistled for the foul. That's his 3rd.
Joe Toussaint, the transfer from Iowa. Young man from the Bronx, New York. Watch the arc on this shot. Money. Mountaineers looking good. played all year. Carolina is in desperate. They have to win the tournament.
Yeah.
There's no other way. Rich, I'll tell you this. There's no pressure I ever felt in my life in basketball as the coach of a team in a low major, mid-major, playing in a championship game. Especially when you've been the #1 seed all year and you know the only way you're going to the NCAA tournament is to win the 3 days in March.
Yeah.
And kudos to a lot of these teams. Good luck to my man Danny Sprinkle tonight at Montana State. The Bobcats trying to repeat. And they'll play a feisty Northern Arizona team at 11:30.
Bradley Graves know what you're talking about. #1 seed in the Valley got upset by #2 Drake.
It happened a lot. Yep.
There's Trey Mitchell with an easy 2.
You practice all preseason. You have a great regular season, and it doesn't matter. It comes down to whether you're on your game for 3 days in March. That's what makes championship week so special.
Jalen Tyson. Catch and release, no good. Okonkwo the rebound for West Virginia.
Remember, Jalen had 27 against this West Virginia team. He hadn't been able to get it going yet.
Yeah.
Career high.
Held to just 3 points, those coming in the first half. Here's Stevenson.
Good skip.
Seeing a lot of skip passes in the Big 12.
Got to do it. Got to do it. You got to move that help defense.
With 5 on the clock. Off the window, no. Rebound, Okonkwo.
Love this, man. Oh, no. Look at this.
Had to shoot it. And a shot clock violation. Didn't touch the rim.
That young man has only been playing basketball a few years. He grew up in England playing tennis. His older brother, I think it's Oliver, started at Iowa. I think he's a grad student now playing tennis at Illinois. But he does have great footwork. He's very raw, but showed up in prep school in West Virginia, and Bob Huggins liked him and signed him. He's got a good future.
Yeah, he has had one of his best games in Lubbock against Texas Tech. Just 5 points, but 10 rebounds and 2 blocks. They gave him a nickname in Morgantown, the Duke of Blockingham. You like that?
Nah, I think we could do better than that, man.
Don't tell the Mountaineer Maniacs that. They like that.
They're usually on their game, but he's really a good kid, and he's only played basketball for about, I'd say, 3-4 years, at least at a competitive level. He started playing in England and gave up tennis when he started growing, but it's a tennis family, and he should have some good agility and good future.
Only been in the States for 3 years.
Yeah.
Stevenson. No. Okonkwo, another rebound.
Oh, he stepped on the line. Yep. Again, new to the game, so you got to educate your feet even down there on the baseline.
Well, West Virginia slowly pulling away. A slow start for them against Texas Tech. 0 for 6, 2 for 12 from the field, but since then this offense has looked really sharp. Amack back on the floor, gets the rebound. Amack spin move. And it's another turnover.
I would say, I've said this a couple times, workmanlike today for West Virginia. Just solid basketball.
13 Texas Tech turnovers.
Now it's too early, Rich, but at some point, if you have this lead, you get down to 4 minutes. He slips. And Joe lost it out of bounds, but at some point, you got to start thinking about resting your starters, because in less than 24 hours, you're going to have to come back and play tomorrow afternoon against the #1 seed. There's no way I would do it now. He's smiling.
Yeah, this late in the game, and Huggs is smiling. You know the Mountaineers are.
Well, I think Jerry Power just said, "Hey, did you know you're now the all-time winningest active coach in college basketball?"
Elected to the Hall of Fame, class of 2022. And he's been behind Mike Krzyzewski, who retired last year, and now Jim Boeheim just a few short hours ago.
And he started his head coaching career at Walsh College in Canton, Ohio.
Yep. I believe it was 3 seasons there, and in his 3rd season won 30+ games.
Yep. Went then from there, Akron, Cincinnati, Kansas State.
There's Toussaint.
Oh, good run out if you see him.
And Joe went flying out of bounds, and a late whistle comes in. We have a timeout on the floor. Under 8 minutes to go. West Virginia staring squarely at a quarterfinal berth. New Yorkers all over this place. There's Norm Roberts, assistant coach for the Kansas Jayhawks, doing a little scouting. The winner of this game faces his Kansas team tomorrow in the quarterfinals.
He's been with Bill Self since the Tulsa days. Bill hired him, did not know Norm, but it has become a great marriage. Of course, he left to go to St. John's for a few years, where he really did have that program on the verge of an NCAA bid, and it's back in Kansas with Bill. And hey, congratulations to Kansas, 17th regular season title under Bill Self, who is probably one of, if not his best coaching job this year. I mean, when you do what Bill Self's done and you're in the Hall of Fame, there's a lot of great coaching jobs, but they lost 75% of their scoring from the national championship team. They're the #1 seed. Got a real chance, Rich, at being the #1 overall seed on Sunday night.
Do not go anywhere. Immediately following the conclusion of this game you're watching right now, Bedlam Part 3 coming up in the other Wednesday night game, the nightcap. Oklahoma and Oklahoma State, and Oklahoma State swept them this year in the regular season.
And a lot at stake for the Cowboys, who Joey Lunardi does not yet have in the field. So big game. Of course, Oklahoma's going to try to spoil that bid for sure.
And we were talking to Porter Moser yesterday, and he was making a very good case of why Oklahoma, like Texas Tech, should be under consideration. And with shot clock winding down, Keedy Johnson has 17 now.
Well, Oklahoma, to his point, has 6 quad 1 wins. They have more quad 1 wins than Gonzaga, St. Mary's, Illinois, and a host of others. And of course, they have a lot of losses too, tough losses, but they have 4 wins as an unranked team over top 15 opponents this year, including the demolition of a very good Alabama team in the SEC Challenge.
And listen, they've won 2 of their last 3 coming in.
They have to get hot, Rich. They may have to win the whole thing, but they got to the final would make an interesting case.
Stevenson muscles that one up, his first points of the second half. 15 now for Eric Stevenson. A 9-0 West Virginia run. Texas Tech 0 for their last 8. They only have 1 field goal in this second half. 2 field goals.
Really can't say enough about the way the Mountaineers have played today.
Yeah, impressive.
Yeah, solid, you know, like I said, not a lot of mistakes, ball movement, making shots, defending. Really locked in. And I think a lot of it is because of the way this guy's played down the stretch. He gives them so much offensive confidence that they know they've got somebody that can get buckets, that everybody gets to concentrate on what they do well.
Pop Isaacs with the heave, shot clock winding down, saved by O'Banner.
They get a new 20.
Here's O'Banner from the corner. Somehow got that to go.
We've seen that for 2 years, Rich.
That's the 3rd triple of the night for Kevin O'Banner. He has 14. That one from close range. Back out. Can't leave him alone. In and out. Okonkwo got fouled.
I like this guy, man. How good has his energy been for Bob Huggins? Limited minutes. He's got 19 blocks on the season.
So James Okonkwo from England, fouled by Daniel Baccio from France.
Okay.
Little international flair in the Big 12. And Eric Stevenson was about 5 feet in front of us, talking to the crowd. And I heard him say, "I've got Kansas tomorrow." I got 34.
He has a tendency to talk to the crowd, which is something that got him sideways with his Hall of Fame coach. But they have come to a great meeting of the minds down the stretch of this season. That's good ball. That's good movement, man. Wow.
Stevenson.
I thought he got fouled, but really good ball movement. And a new clock.
Taken away by Toussaint. Here's Johnson for 3. Short.
Look at Okonkwo, man.
Yeah, the fight by Okonkwo, but Texas Tech comes away with it. Now coming up on 5 minutes to go, and Stevenson whistled for the foul. That's the 3rd on Eric Stevenson. Takes a certain kind of swagger to tell the crowd you're going to score 30 on one of the best teams in the country.
No, it takes a certain amount of swagger to go toe-to-toe verbally with Marcus Smart, which he did at Oklahoma State in a game that the Mountaineers were winning. And he got a technical foul for some gestures that Bob Huggins did not approve of, and neither did the officials. And it really did cost them a chance to win that game on the road. But all is right between coach and player. Those are the guys, when you coach them, you gotta, you know, it's like they do keep both teams in the game, but you like to have them on your side.
Sure. He's the reigning Big 12 Player of the Week. Won that in the final week of the regular season. Third team All Big 12.
Now, he's got a lot of talent. He really does. Oh, man.
And now 5 minutes left. If things hold, West Virginia has a date with the Jayhawks tomorrow afternoon. Keedy Johnson short. And Texas Tech with some questions to answer, not only on the floor, but off the court as well.
Well, they got to play quickly on offense. And when you're down like this, you have to have what we call a comeback offense, which means you have to shoot it quickly.
Banner. Guarded three off the mark. Here's Johnson.
It might be an injury substitution. Let's see. Nope, there's going to be a timeout.
So Bob Huggins calls timeout, and we will take a timeout with him. 4:24 to go. West Virginia comfortably in control of 17. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball brought to you by Phillips 66, proud sponsor of Big 12 basketball.
You threw me under the bus.
It is not sponsored by the pepperoni rolls that Fran Fraschilla housed during a commercial break.
Oh, man, I love pepperoni rolls. Seriously. It's not an official pepperoni roll, but it's close enough.
The carnage here at the broadcast table.
Look at that. You see the Smarties there.
Yeah, and there's a candy necklace there. Now, that's not as much Fran's fault as it is our stage manager Patrick's fault.
Yeah,
Patrick is an enabler in that when it comes to the sweets.
It's a 10-pound weekend, that's for sure. and by the way, the Power and Light District, you got some great restaurants and great turnout.
Yeah, they do a fabulous job here in Kansas City for sure.
We got a lot of things going on this weekend in Kansas City, including great basketball just underway.
Shout out to PL, the rapper. Big 12 championship now has its own rap song.
Got a little bit of everything.
Yeah. A lot of fun here. Not so much for Texas Tech. They're down 17 with 4 minutes to go.
Kobe Johnson in the game for West Virginia. Sophomore guard out of Canton, Ohio.
Amack off the window. It's been a quiet night for Fardaws Amack, just his second bucket of the game.
It looks like what Texas Tech's going to go to a little bit of trapping and pressing.
Well, as you would imagine, ESPN has you covered on Selection Sunday. It starts at noon Eastern on ESPN. College Basketball Live preps the day at 6 o'clock. Reese and the guys look at the men's field of 68 as the brackets get announced, followed by bracketology with breakdowns of each region. Then at 8 Eastern, the women's field is revealed with continuing coverage on ESPNU at 9. And then at 10 o'clock, even more coverage from both brackets. Everything streaming on the ESPN app as well. There's an easy 2 for Trey Mitchell. He's had a great night.
He really has. Really important to this team, I think, not only the rest of the weekend, but in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah. 1 rebound shy of a double-double for Trey.
And that's it, Rich. He can play inside, he can play outside offensively, and he's an excellent rebounder. That's got to be something. And it is a block.
Be a foul on Toussaint.
Joe's a young man from Cardinal Hayes High School in the Bronx. It's the home of Jamal Mashburn back in the day, the Catholic League in New York City, as good as there was. And Joe made his way out to Iowa for a few years.
led the team in points or assists and steals last year for Fran McCaffrey. So Pop Isaacs will step to the free throw line. 11 points for him tonight. You know one thing, the Red Raider Nation really got behind this team despite the fact that they started the season 0-8 and they were down 23 to Iowa State, in danger of going 0-9, and all they did was come back from 23 down to win that game. They won 4 in a row before losing their last 3 and then headed here to Kansas City.
Now, this is a team that last year was in the Sweet 16.
Isaacs for 3.
Don't.
We'll take a 30-second timeout. Stick around. We'll have the conclusion of this one right back after this. Well, our player of the game tonight, as you can imagine, it's a Mountaineer, and tonight our Phillips 66 player of the game is Keedy Johnson.
Terrific all-around game, much improved over 3 seasons under Bob Huggins, and I would give it to him for the first 37 minutes, certainly, but Texas Tech now within 12, so they'll ratchet up a little full court pressure, and if you're West Virginia now, you do not want to sleepwalk this final 2:49. Too many crazy things have happened in college basketball, especially recently. Iowa was down 11 with just a little over a minute to go to Michigan State, won in overtime.
Ten on the shot clock. Now 4 to shoot.
Great pass.
Mitchell again off the window.
Terrific pass by Eric Stevenson, and they used all 30 seconds. Perfect possession.
Loose ball picked up by Texas Tech. Isaacs for 3. Offensive rebound, and Tyson gets the putback.
Got to turn up the D now.
The lead was as large as 21. Now it's just a dozen.
I like that decision. Eric had a wide open shot. He felt like milking a few more seconds than just shooting it. It might be the wise play. Take a look right here. Watch this little look. Shot clock running down. Great find inside. And Trey Mitchell, who said to us early in the year, if I'd have known how much I loved Morgantown, I would have come here right from high school. And instead, it took him a while. UMass, Austin, figured out how to back out close to home.
Stevenson that time no good. Well, remember on that senior day game, 3 Mountaineers with 20+ points. They're close to that tonight again, Fred. And Keedy Johnson was 17, Trey Mitchell 17, and Stevenson has 15.
Yeah, and the ball moved too. Now it's going to be an interesting period of time in Lubbock, Rich. The decision to suspend Mark Adams, how to handle that going forward.
Too easy for Eric Stevenson. His third 3, 18 tonight.
Here's what I know. That has become a very good basketball school. Great fan base, great facilities. They've got terrific young players. Nowadays, you don't know who's going to stay, who's going to go. But in the last 5 years, Texas Tech basketball has really risen to a point where it's nationally acclaimed. Top 25 level program.
And all the old gold and blue in the crowd here inside the T-Mobile Center on their feet to celebrate the West Virginia Mountaineers. Keedy Johnson puts a bow on it. 19 and a chance for 20 for Kedrian Johnson.
Tomorrow they will just play with house money as they take on the #1 seed Kansas. You mentioned, Rich, a very close game a couple weeks ago, and they will be dangerous. Of course, Kansas will have a day's rest. Bill Self is pretty well versed in how to treat tournament play. I'm sure the Jayhawks will be ready.
Back-to-back 20-point efforts for Keedy Johnson, who had 23 in his swan song in Morgantown. And that'll do it. Keedy Johnson will dribble it out. And West Virginia marches on in March. A 78-62 final score. And the Kansas Jayhawks await the Mountaineers tomorrow at 3 Eastern in the quarterfinals of the Big 12 tournament. Here's an updated look at the Phillips 66 Big 12 Men's Championship as we have almost all of our quarterfinals set. The one remaining spot, who will face the Texas Longhorns? It's going to be either the 7-seed Oklahoma State Cowboys or the 10 seed, the Oklahoma Sooners. That is our game that is coming up at 9:30 Eastern right here on ESPNU. But that'll do it for this one. Eric Stevenson and the Mountaineers move on. Coming up next, it's college football 150, the greatest, here on ESPNU. For Fran Fraschilla and Chris Budden, this is Rich Hollenberg saying so long for now from Kansas City.